Okay, guys, so today we're going to be learning about the clock and telling time. So our objective today is by the end of class, you should be able to tell time on an analog clock. So does anyone know what an analog clock is? Zoe?
It's a circle and it has like the numbers and tick marks on it.
So it's not like on our mommy's phones or daddy's phones or in our kitchen. We see it just tells us. This time we have to read it with our eyes. So let's review. As a class, we're going to count by fives to the number 55, okay? Ready, set, go.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55.
Oh, wow, that was so good. You all did it in sync with each other, and that was amazing. Okay, so now let's think a little bit. Let's think of some ideas on why we might need to tell time. So, what time would you guys say you wake up in the morning?
7. 6 o'clock.
Jess
8:05.
wakes up at 7, 8:05. Madison is at 6.
6.
Wow, you guys get up in a lot of different times. Okay, what time does school start every day?
8:05.
9.
There you go, 9 o'clock. Right on the dot. And then what time do we eat lunch?
12.
Yeah, 12. So where does all of this come together?
Clock.
Time. So as a class, we've seen a lot of things that deal with time. What are some ways we can tell what that time might be? On the phone. That is a good idea. A watch. But do we want like Miss Friedman's Apple Watch, or do we want to like, how else can we do it?
Rolex.
Yes, that is one. Does your dad have a Rolex?
There's like the clocks by a bed, like the alarm clock.
The
That's a good idea.
sun.
Do you have one?
I do.
Yeah, so in old times, people did tell what time it was based on where the sun was. Good job. Okay, well, in today's world, obviously, we use a clock. So there are some examples of clocks.
I thought I'm missing some of it.
It's like a donut clock.
Oh.
Okay, so today's question is, how do we tell time? So if we look at a clock, they're drawn like this. So there's a big circle. There's a 12, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, a 4, a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. So, does anyone know what these numbers represent?
Hours?
Good. So these all represent hours, but they can also represent minutes. So there's also going to be 4 little dashes in between. Does anyone know what these dashes mean?
Minutes.
And what else is on a hand?
There's a short hand and a big hand.
What do those represent?
Hours and minutes.
Okay, so just some information regarding this. This is the hour hand. Also, it's shorter, and this is the minute hand, so it's a longer arrow. So we have to remember that in our head when we're reading clocks. So, as a class, what does the shorthand stand for?
Hours.
And the long one?
Minutes.
Awesome. Sometimes, regarding on the clock, there might be another one that's a different color red. That shows seconds. Got it? So here is a super fun and more neat labeled clock.
Wow.
So it shows that here are the numbers we see. So guys, tell me what numbers we see on the clock.
1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And those represent what?
Hours.
And?
Minutes.
Okay. So for minutes, it's a little bit tricky because they don't represent the minute it's showing anymore. So remember when we counted by fives at the start of today's lesson? These actually go up by fives when you're reading a clock. So the 1 represents 5, the 2, 10, the 3, 15, the 4, 20, the 5, 25, the 6, 30, the 7, 35, the 8, 40, the 9, 45, the 10, 50, and the 11, 55. So we're never going to say it's 1260. So when we get to there, it just starts at 0. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions so far? No, you're good? Okay. So just as a reminder, like I went over on the whiteboard, this is the minute hand, the longer hand, and this is the hour hand, the shorter hand. And that one represents seconds. Good? All right, so now I'll show you how to tell time. So if I was looking at this clock, it would be 12 because the short hand is pointing to the 12, 05 because the minute hand is pointing to the 1. And then on this clock, it would be 10 o'clock, not 1060, because the short hand is pointing to the 10 and the long hand is pointing to the 12, which means 0. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So now as a group, you're going to try on your own, so pair up with the person next to you. All right, I'm going to display some clocks on the screen, and you and your partner are going to say what time you think it is, and then you would write it down.
A lot of they're small.
Whoa.
Okay.
So we start with 1.
Five,
35.
And then
Are we going down or
11:25.
across?
You want to say down or across?
Whatever.
We'll go across.
9:45, yeah.
What?
8:45.
Other way down.
45. Sorry. No, that's 11:45.
11:45.
What are you talking about? Where are you at?
All right, Abby, Zoe, do you guys have any questions?
I think I understand.
You're doing good? Okay, good.
I have a question, Ms.
2:30.
Friedman.
2:10.
What's up?
How do we know if they're between the two, like 5 and 6? How do we know which one it is? Like in the first one. How do I know which one it is?
Okay, so it's always going to be the number before. So this will be a 5. I know it's kind of tricky because it's in the middle, but you're always going to look at the number before. So once it becomes 6, it'll touch the 6 and then move past it.
Don't worry about it. You'll get it.
All right, did we all practice and write down our numbers and talk them?
Mhm.
Awesome. All right, so who can tell me what we learned today?
How to read a clock.
What else?
Time.
And what deals with time? What about the minute hand or the hour hand?
We learned which is which.
Okay, which is which? Do you remember?
The short one is the hour, and the big one is the minute. And then
Good.
there's the red one, and that's the second.
Good. Does anyone have any other questions they're wondering? Or do they feel confident to do their homework tonight?
Mhm.
I can do it.
Okay. So tonight's homework, I'm going to now pass out a worksheet with some clocks on it, and you will take it home with you and write down what time you think it is, and we'll go over it at the start of math tomorrow. Sound good? All right. Please take out your planners and write it in there and put it in your take-home.
Can our parents help us?
Yes, of course. Thank you.